Good Friday morning. Thanks for joining us on Kare 11 News Now. I'm Megan McPherson. Developing this morning, an entire wing of a senior living community is evacuated right now after a fire just hours ago. Take a look at this map. The fire happened just after midnight at Kingsway Retirement Community in Belle Plaine. The seniors brought to a nearby high school. Audrey Russo is at the scene with the latest from fire officials.
To start with the good news, nobody was seriously hurt in this fire. The 25 to 30 residents who were evacuated, there were some cuts and bruises reported, but nobody was seriously injured. The bad news, though, all of those folks are evacuated out of this east wing of the building, and we're told by fire officials they could be out of their houses for about a day. The fire marshal, we're told, is now investigating exactly what caused the laundry room fire on the third floor of this building. So take a look at this video from the scene. This was a little before 2 this morning. Fire officials tell us it started in that third floor laundry room and then spread to the attic. The main fire was out by 2 a.m., but it took crews a while to thoroughly search for lingering hotspots. Now, fire officials say that they needed to upgrade to a third alarm in order to get people out safely. They needed to get more agencies on scene to help folks really just evacuate and get to a safer spot. Now, this is a senior living community with a memory care unit, which is why there were some of those mobility challenges. So 6 EMS agencies and fire agencies all together were here on scene during those overnight hours trying to shuffle folks out. And again, 25 to 30 people are out of their homes, but this is a senior living facility that houses more than 70 people. So it really is just kind of localized to this one wing, this east wing here of the building. And again, this is Kingsway Retirement Community here in Belle Plaine. Back to you.
Major developments in Luigi Mangione's federal case. This morning, the 28-year-old is expected to change his plea to guilty. Mangione is accused of killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. He's facing 2 federal stalking charges, which could still get him a life sentence. NBC News is reporting if the federal plea change goes through, the state trial might no longer happen under New York law. Mangione could still change his mind about the plea deal. Today's hearing starts at 10 a.m. An unsealed search warrant revealing new details in the murder-suicide at a Hopkins home daycare. We do want to warn you, some of the details in this story are disturbing. Court documents say a father dropping off his children at the daycare walked in on 41-year-old Nathan Brown, stabbing his wife Kristen with a screwdriver. Police say Brown also killed his 7-year-old daughter before taking his own life. 6 other children were inside the daycare at that time. Investigators also believe Brown murdered his 78-year-old mother in Burnsville earlier that day.
This loss is large and is going to be felt, and it's going to be felt for a while.
Court documents say Kristen was planning to close the daycare because of relationship issues with her husband. And mental health experts say the 6 other children inside will need to rebuild their sense of safety again. And for other kids who may have learned about what happened, the chief clinical officer at the Washburn Center for Children says it's especially important for parents to check in and ask questions.
What do you know about what happened at that daycare down the street yesterday? And do you have any questions? And really inviting that conversation and that exploration within you to be able to talk with them about it.
If you or someone you know is in trouble, there are free resources available. That includes the National Domestic Violence Hotline. That number you can see right here on your screen, or you can text the word BEGIN to 88788. You can also contact the free Minnesota Day One Crisis Line. That number also here on your screen. Professionals are available 24/7. Interpreters are also available for both services. Developing now, Minneapolis police are looking for whoever smashed more than 30 car windows in the North Loop. Take a look at the map here on your screen. Police tell us just after 2 yesterday morning, they received reports of a man driving around in a white sedan using a flashlight to break into cars. 34 vehicles were damaged. And this is some video here of just that. Windows shattered and glass on the ground. Police say they're looking for that white sedan this morning. Anyone with information is asked to call police. New today, an Iranian-linked group is claiming responsibility for the cyber attacks on Minnesota water systems. That's according to cybersecurity researchers at Auburn University. Those researchers say a group called Apt Iran claims their intention in attacking Minnesota was only to warn of their capabilities. Those attacks impacted more than 30 communities last month, but local officials don't believe it impacted water quality. The FBI previously said it's aware of these attacks and is investigating. Meanwhile, new concerns this morning for crew members on board the USS Abraham Lincoln, the warship setting a modern-day record for time at sea. It is getting replaced with another ship after reports of issues with plumbing, food, dwindling resources, and man overboard incidents. NBC's Alice Barr has details from Washington.
Hi there. The USS Lincoln is playing a critical part in the war against Iran and now raising broader concerns about long deployments, though the defense secretary is adamant every ship has everything it needs. This morning, relief is finally on the way for sailors at sea on board the USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier for a record 244 days without stopping at a port, most recently carrying out strikes against Iran. 2 U.S. officials tell NBC News there have been growing complaints from service members and their families about deteriorating conditions. Danielle Rappa says her son's mental health has taken a nosedive.
This is a young man who can tolerate an enormous amount. When he starts describing his life to his mother as American Horror Story and talking about being completely exhausted, I listen.
The complaints include limited meal portions like these, and a U.S. official says one sailor went overboard but was quickly rescued. Now the Lincoln is set to be switched out with another Navy carrier and finally sail home in the coming weeks, according to a U.S. official. It was initially set to return in May. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth thanking the sailors and defending conditions on board.
Completely misrepresented. Listen, we make sure that every ship, every crew, every captain has everything we can provide them at every single moment.
As the war with Iran drags on, President Trump has signaled a focus on economic pressure to force Iran into a deal. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says tougher sanctions are coming.
We are going to apply measures like have never been seen.
The administration and sailors at sea looking for an off-ramp. 2 U.S. officials tell NBC News Joint Chiefs Chairman Dan Kane has warned President Trump and Secretary Hegseth about lengthy deployments and declining morale. Now lawmakers from both parties are pushing for more oversight and certainty that the sailors do have what they need. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Right now, St. Paul is facing a projected $26 million budget gap, and now the mayor is calling for higher property taxes and millions in cuts to city spending. In Mayor Kali Herr's first city budget address, she's proposing to increase the property tax levy next year by 6.8%, meaning an extra $58 per year for the average homeowner. Mayor Herr also asked all department heads to cut 4% of their budgets. She says the city needs to make tough decisions because of the decline in commercial property values, inflation, and state aid that's not keeping pace.
Across city government, we're eliminating positions where appropriate, reassigning staff to meet changing needs, and focusing our resources where they will have the greatest impact for residents.
Mayor Herr is offering to reduce her own salary by $20,000 in solidarity with other cuts being made, but this proposal is not final. The city council must approve it. City Council President Rebecca Noker says she's going to work to bring down the property tax increase. Right now, a lawsuit blocking members of 2 rival gangs from going near the Minnesota State Fair is moving forward. Court records show 2 Somali gangs, Muddy and the Ville, have been posting about starting a huge fight at the fair for weeks now. Prosecutors say the 2 gangs have been involved in shootings against each other in the past. If this temporary block goes through, individual gang members would still be allowed to go to the fair. They just can't meet up with other gang members, use gang signs, or taunt rival members. The judge says she'll make her final decision next Thursday. Right now, Flock Safety says it's rolling out new safety controls on its license plate reading cameras just days after several Minnesota cities canceled their contracts with the controversial company. Flock says it will no longer hold on to data for 30 days. Instead, its default retention period will go down to 7 days. The company says it will also introduce new guardrails for law enforcement, including tools flagging abnormal searches. Leaders in at least 5 Minnesota cities have expressed concerns over the cameras, ranging from data privacy to staffing.
These are simple things that we can change. And my hope is that in our conversation today and my ongoing conversations with state regulators, that these are changes we can see in the coming months.
Critics say the changes still aren't enough. The ACLU says the shorter data window is a step in the right direction, but that other changes aren't enough to prevent abuse. Stick with us. More news and weather is coming up after the break.